It's on May 3rd, 2022, the capital city of incredible India, New Delhi. My name is Jong-woo Han. I am the president of Korean War Legacy Foundation, which has more than 1,500 of Korean War veterans from 22 countries, including India, so that we will complete the digital archive of Korean War veterans from all 22 countries. We are doing this to preserve your father's memory, first of all, because it's been a long time. And also it is known as a forgotten war, even though there is a good stories to tell and to share with our younger generation. That's why we are going to make this video interview as a curricular resources for the history teachers when they talk about the Korean War as a part of Cold War in their world history. This is the best way to preserve your memory, your father's memory, and honor your father's service. Okay, so that's the best way to make the Korean War forgotten victory, not forgotten war. It's my great honor and pleasure to meet you, sir, and thank you for coming and for sharing your father's honorable service as a Korean War veterans of incredible India. Please introduce yourself. What is your name, sir?
Rajiv Chatrath.
Could you spell it?
Rajiv Chatrath.
And what is your birthday, sir? Birthday.
My birthday. 9th October 1957.
So you are now?
65 years old.
Oh, you look so young. Where were you born?
I was born in Amritsar, Punjab.
Punjab.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Punjab. And introduce your father. What's his name and spell it for the audience, please.
Yes. So, sorry, I just bear it with time.
Sure.
So, my father's name is Colonel Rajinder, Rajindar, Ajindar, Chatrath, Chatrath.
You share the same
Yeah.
family name. What's his birthday?
His birthday was 19th September 1923.
23. And when did he pass away?
He passed away in 18th of May 2018, 2018.
So he was 77, 87.
Just short of 95.
96.
Short of 95.
Wow. He had a longevity.
Yes, he was except for the last 1 month, 1.5 months, he was in complete senses and hale and hearty.
So tell me about your father's story as a Korean War veteran from India.
Yeah.
What did he do? Tell me all those details, okay?
He made a small, wrote down a few notes which he got typed. So I'll read out some of them from his own words only.
Yes, sir.
So originally, the family belonged, like a lot of families in North India, they belonged to what is now in Pakistan. A lot of families were there. And after the partition, then we came over here. So just a historical fact that his great-grandfather, that means my father's great-grandfather, was in the army of Maharaja Ranjit Singh. He's a very famous warrior, and he was in his army at that particular point of time. Yeah. So my father's grandfather was a person who basically rebelled against the religion which had been enforced. So there was a reformist religion in India called Arya Samaj. So he fought with his parents and he went out and he said, I want to join a reformist religion. I don't want to follow your religion. And his grandfather was in the First World War. He was basically in the railways. And when they were laying the lines in North Africa, so he was part of the team. Exactly what he did, I'm not aware, but like he was a person involved in the laying the lines for the British troops movements in North Africa at that particular point of time in the First World War. And of course, his grandfather came back and he became what is called a station master at that time, which was a big thing. Okay.
So tell me about your father.
Yeah, my father. So my father basically was the eldest of the children. Yeah, they were, four younger sisters, one brother, and my father was like a father figure to his younger siblings, because my elder father was also a civilian in the Indian Air Force, British Air Force. He was civilian. So at that particular point of time, the Indian capital used to move between New Delhi and Shimla. 6 months, in the winter months they were in Delhi, in the summer months they used to be in Shimla. So my father also studied in both the different schools, in both the places. And after doing his schooling, then he joined college, which was St. Stephen's College. And from there, he went to Lahore Medical College to do his college, which is, of course, now in Pakistan. Lahore is in Pakistan right now.
Got it. So when did he join the 60th?
Pardon?
When did he join the 60 parachute?
No, he didn't. He was, okay, yeah. So, no, he didn't this thing. He basically got his direct permanent commission. He was a doctor already. He got his permanent commission in 1952.
Yeah.
And after training from 1952, he was selected for services, and he left for the Armistice Commission. He was part of the Armistice Commission. So he went in August 1953, and he returned in March 1954. They went by a ship.
That's very interesting. So what did your father do in Korea?
So yes, so he said when he went, he said they were airlifted by American helicopter pilots to a base camp near Panjamon on 37th parallel. Pamunjan.
Yeah.
And in the DMZ.
Yeah.
So the camp and the hospital were built on the hill slopes after clearing the mines by the American troops.
I see.
So there was accommodation for 800 POWs in each camp.
800?
POW, prisoners of war.
Each camp?
There were about 20 camps to accommodate all the prisoners of war.
Yeah.
So there was a base hospital for treating serious cases. So he was in the base hospital. Our duty was to treat the prisoners of war for day-to-day ailments and hospitalize if needed. We had very good relations with the Red Cross of North Korea.
Oh.
As medical officers, he used to go to the Red Cross hospital in North Korea practically every month.
So your father treated North Korean prisoner of war.
Yes, yes.
So had a very good relationship
Yes,
with them.
yes.
That's very interesting.
So he says other officers from the Armistice Commission are not allowed to go there, but he used to go every month to the North Korea.
How come?
He's written there, as medical officer, we used to go to Red Cross Hospital in North Korea. You were allowed to go there, and then you were So he's written about his North Korean experience. In North Korea, all adult persons, male and female, were on compulsory military duty in uniform and rifle, besides doing their cultivation work also. Their dress for men and women were padded blue jackets and pants. They had made a number of underground bunkers near the villages to avoid air bombing by Americans. So he's seen all this himself. So he says in our camps in the DMZ, from the DMZ he used to go there. So so this is written about the DMZ and what work was happening. He was in the base hospital over there, basically.
Excellent. Yeah, so counter to the general understanding of the role Indian Army played during the Korean War, India was neutral country at the time because it's an armistice commission.
True.
And your father, because you medical doctor, that he had access to the North Korean
Correct.
camp,
Correct.
and they treated your father very favorably because your father could treat and provide the treatment, right?
True. That's true.
Excellent. Yeah. Keep please sharing the stories if you have any very interesting story. Yes.
Yeah. So, so aside from this thing, he said because of they were there right in the DMZ, so they were given 1 week's holiday to go to Japan, Tokyo.
Yes, R&R.
R&R. They were given R&R, and they went to Hiroshima, and they were shown this thing. This thing. So he's written something about the war. I'll just read out little portions of that. He says, at 4:30 a.m. on September 1950, North Korea attacked South Korea and started advancing. Korea is a mostly semi-forest area. Korea is a mostly semi-forest area with poor communication facilities. Talking about that time. South Korea put up resistance and started retreating southwards. The US did not want a communist regime in South Korea. America passed a resolution at Yeno and raised one division along with a force of 31 countries to stop the North Korean aggression. India sent the paratroop medical battalion. There was heavy fighting in which 12,000 American soldiers were killed. I'm not sure if this is correct or not. This is his recollection.
Yeah.
In his later years.
Nobody has a correct number, but officially it's going to be 36,603
okay.
people
Okay.
are counted as killed in action.
That's. After 2 years of war and a lot of devastation in the South Korea, peace was made at 38 latitude, and 38 latitude made the boundary line.
Yes.
About 40,000 prisoners of war from both North and South Korea were at 38 parallel camps. An Armistice Commission of India under General Themaya and General Thorat was established for interview a POW and about their preference to shift to North or South Korea.
Repatriation.
Huh?
Repatriation.
Yeah. So then, of course, he's written about a visit to South Korea afterwards in the 2000s, when they're in the revisit program.
Yeah.
So what he told us and what he wrote also. He said the Korean embassy invited us along with our families and children for the reception at the ambassador's house. Then we revisited Korea, and obviously, as Amitabh said also, they were all amazed at the progress South Korea had made. So he used to always talk about one thing. He used to talk about the work ethic of the South Korean people.
Work ethic.
Work ethic.
Tell me, what did he say?
Work ethic, he said, extremely hardworking, very hardworking, and he said that even when they were there at that particular point of time, they were working 12 hours a day. During the war, of course, people are supposed to, but this was the Armistice Commission. He said people used to work 12 to 14 hours a day. They were wanting to learn more. They wanted to work harder and uplift themselves. So he always spoke about the work ethic of the people.
That's the national working hour of Korean people.
I know.
Just kidding. But because Indian army came to contribute to the Korean War, that's why we were able to build. The Koreans were able to rebuild their nation.
No, but it's what the Koreans have managed to do in that time period is nothing short of a miracle, actually. I think.
But as you heard from my previous interview, Rajiv, we don't talk about this war in the history textbook here in India. What do you think about it?
So it's three things. First of all, because the British were basically the ones who were colonizing us for a long time, more than 100 years.
It's just like the Japanese colonized
yes.
for 35 years.
Yes. So our history was mostly skewered, unfortunately, towards what the British did. And we learnt English. And languages are very important to be able to understand what the other person is thinking, saying in the mind actually. Because we learnt English, when we grew up, Anil, I, Annie, all of us, we went to schools where the medium of instruction was English only. So naturally we learnt about our history, Indian history, and we learnt about Western history. So we haven't learnt enough about other parts of the world, which is true, absolutely.
Do you want to work with me to break that injustice to the honorable service your father and other old Indian Korean veterans?
Yes, of course. Yes, of course. We should do that. Yes.
Let's do it, okay?
Yes, we should do that.
My foundation has willing to work with you and has financial capacity as long as the descendants of Korean War veterans from India wanted to work with this, okay? So let's do it, sir. So tell me more about your father's story.
Yeah. So they came back, as I told you, they came back in March 1954, and he was awarded the Swadesh Seva Medal. So these are this thing they were awarded at that particular point of time. Yeah, yeah.
Any particular story that he told you about his experience as a medical doctor treating prisoner of war of North Korean people?
So his since his area of operation was a base hospital, and they were basically looking after. There was no active war on when he was there.
Right.
It was
after the.
It was a pure. They were all prisoners of war.
Yes.
So they were treating a lot of prisoners. They were supposed to keep them well, and they were supposed to make sure that once they are okay and they're certified medically fit, then they're able to go whether they want to go to north or south, whatever was happening. So he said that there was non-stop work because there were a lot of prisoners of war. As I said, 40,000 prisoners of war.
40,000.
Yeah, wow. I mentioned that in the beginning. Actually.
Right.
And the fighting had finished by that time mainly, but I remember when I told him when I came back. So he was saying that from Busan to Seoul, he remembers, his recollection is bullock carts plying between Busan.
Oh, bullet train. Yes.
Bullock carts.
Yeah.
Bullock carts, bullocks with a cart at the back.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
He said that was the condition because the country was devastated. After the war, it was devastated. And obviously he remembered that, and he said what they've become after that is quite remarkable.
Yeah, it's a very small country without drop of oil.
I know.
No natural resources. Most of the natural resources concentrated in North Korea.
Yeah.
From devastation, it took 30 years to rebuild their nation, and now they are OECD country, 10th largest economy.
True.
Let's talk about this in the history book.
Yes, you should. Yes. So, unusual thing, my daughter went as part of the revisit program. She went there. She was there for close to 2 weeks, and she's now in the US, of course.
That's a peace camp.
Peace camp.
Yes.
Okay. The peace camp. She went there, and she learned a lot. She went when she was in college, undergrad, and she has in the US at least 2 very close Korean friends, and she credits her understanding her stay in the peace camp for being able to understand this thing, because whether in the US or whether the Koreans are very driven, extremely driven.
Yes. Yeah. And that is the legacy of all the Indian soldiers.
Yes.
Yeah. Any other story to share?
I'm afraid my memory fails me. Yes, the documents are basically what my father did. Frankly.
Yes.
He.
Take your time.
Yeah. he, in those days, they used to do a lot of things. He was besides being he was a pathologist finally. But he got a Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery. He got a Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery.
Yes.
In 1946. So, I feel personally, that the two countries, India and South Korea, have a lot of common interests.
Yes.
Huge amount of common interest. I do not want to go into the political field because that's not the remit over here. But India can gain hugely from South Korea, technology-wise. And South Korean companies have already made a huge mark in India. They're world-class companies, world-class products, and India is a large market, which is, the purchasing power is growing. So definitely there should be even closer political alignment also.
You are making very important statement here.
Yeah.
But your father never imagined that
Yes.
Korea would become like this
Yes,
today
yes.
and becoming economic partner with
Yes,
India, right?
yes, yes.
Yeah.
So whether we like it or not, next 50, 70 years are the neighbors that we both have are going to create issues, problems, and we have to sort of work together politically, economically, commercially to be able to build up our strength.
Excellent, sir. That's an excellent point. We need to do those things so that your young generation, your children, grandchildren if you have, can work with us together, okay? And if you know of any history teacher in India who wants to know more about what we are doing, we want to include them in our conference, in our program. We are bringing teachers from other countries to Korea like a peace camp for 11 days. And most of is provide everything free except half of the international airfare. They can have a fantastic time. So please let us know. And this is the mission that was given by your father, so that we have to do these things, to follow up.
So in this, I'd like to add one thing, which is for you basically. See, unfortunately, our children have been enamored by the West. Both my youngsters are in the US. You have to do more. Let's say South Korea has to do more with children at a younger age for them to be able to understand about the country, about its values, and they should not only aspire to go to the West, they should be able to Asia, yes. It should be Asia focused, yes.
So that's why we are doing this. We made a curriculum book for US.
Right.
We want to make a curriculum book for India.
Right.
But you have to help us, okay?
Right.
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 So, Mr. Chatrath, thank you so much for coming.
No,
Do you have anything else?
Nothing else. Thank you so much.
So
Thank you for this thing having us over. Very important. And I think more than anything else, people-to-people exchanges are going to drive this forward.
Yes, sir. That's what we call public diplomacy.
Yes. True. Absolutely true. You have to use more of your soft power. You have a lot of soft power, but you're not using enough.
Yes. We want to do that more, but you've got to help us, okay?
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much again
Thank you
for coming and sharing the honorable story of your father's service as a medical doctor, as part of the Armistice Commission treating North Korean people, North Korean prisoners of war. That's a very humanistic contribution that your father made, okay? So thank you so much again.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Please work with us.
Yes, we will.